It's the question you all want answers to. How do I start homeschooling? So let's do this. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Raising Mums podcast. My name is Dr. Gemma Elizabeth. I'm the founder of the award-winning blog Our Muslim Homeschool, and I'm the creator of the homeschooling course Launch Your Homeschool, and I am the host of this podcast, the Raising Mums podcast. So nice to see so many of you hopping on already, alhamdulillah. So we're going to talk today about how to start homeschooling. I'm not messing about today, friends. I'm going to give you some really valuable information. Grab yourself a pen and paper. If you can make notes as we're going along, fantastic, do that, because I really do want to make sure that you succeed in your endeavours to homeschool your kids. So I'm going to give you some really valuable information to get you on the right track. If you can't write and take notes as we're going along, there will be a replay of this that you can watch on YouTube and various other places, and you can listen to the podcast Raising Mums. So while everyone hops on, I'd love to know where you're all watching from. We have a really diverse community here. We have people from all over the globe. I'd love to know where you are tuning in from. Pop it in the comments and let me know. We have had at least 5 continents tuning in. We've never had anyone from South America. So if you are from South America, please tell me about it. I really want to know. Pop it in the comments and let me know. Let's see where everyone's watching from. Before we get started, I have to tell you about my upcoming course. It's going to be opening up on the 5th of July. So that's just over a week away. And that is called Launch Your Homeschool. It's an online program where you get a library of video lessons that's going to guide you through how to start homeschooling. It's going to take you from that point of being completely overwhelmed and confused, step by step, to the point at the end where you will have a plan in place that you're happy with. You'll have all the resources you need. You'll have crafted a curriculum that actually aligns with your values and that you're excited to do. You'll have systems in place in your home to make your life run smoothly. You'll have learnt time management techniques to get everything done. You'll have a routine that works for your unique family dynamic. And this course, Launch Your Homeschool, is going to show you how to do that. So that opens up on the 5th of July. Put your name on the waiting list. So the link for the waiting list is in the show notes. Instagram, it's on my profile, so just head over there and pop your email down. And on the 5th of July, all the information will be sent to you. No obligation at all. Just you'll get that information and then you can make a decision one way or the other. So let's see, where is everyone watching from? Stoke-on-Trent in the UK, Oklahoma, Egypt, Mauritius, mashallah. Another Stoke-on-Trent, amazing. North Carolina, mashallah. Right, what about on Instagram? What have we got going on over here? There's a lot of you over here. London, Indonesia, mashallah. Originally from Libya, but live in the UK. Oh, Be Positive Lights, mashallah. You're always on these lives. I appreciate your support. Kuwait, Malaysia, Leicester, London, Berlin. Wow, Switzerland, Zambia, mashallah. Okay, cool. I love it. Okay, so let's get on with this. How do we start homeschooling? That's why you're all here. So maybe you have committed to homeschooling. You've decided you want to do this and you want to know where to go. Or maybe you're not sure, you're on the fence, 50-50. You could do it, you might not, you've not decided yet. Either way, what we're going to talk about today is important to both groups. Both camps need to know and need to do what I am advising right now to really set yourself up for the best chances of success. You do not go from never having homeschooled, not homeschooling at all, to full-time education in one fell swoop. There are stages to get to that point of being a full-time homeschooler. And that's what I want to walk you through today. So the best way that I can explain this to you is to tell you a story. A story of somebody who I know many years ago who was in the same place that you're at right now. She was ready to start homeschooling. Her kids were fairly young. She wanted to start homeschooling in September. So after they'd made the decision, she's mashallah, she's put a plan in place. I'm going to call her Layla for obvious reasons. Her name is not Layla, but Layla, mashallah, like you, a dedicated mother. mashallah, really dedicated and a really hard worker. So when she made that decision to start homeschooling, she really threw herself into it. She did research, she read books, and then she put together a timetable. She mapped out her children's days from 9 in the morning through to 4 p.m, you know, when the breaks would be. She positioned all the different subjects, when she'd be doing different subjects, and when, you know, just to make sure that everything was covered. So she had this incredible timetable crafted out. And then September rolled around and it was day one. It was time to do this thing that she was so excited to start. And she did start. She even got up early to make food ahead of time. But, and you can already tell where this is going, it didn't end well. Can any of you guys here, can you tell me where she went wrong? Pop it in the comments if you already know the moral of this story. So just a few weeks later, just a couple of weeks, Layla's kids started to resist. They started to push back in the lessons. They didn't want to do school anymore. And that was very unusual for them because they were very sweet kids, you know, usually very obedient and usually very enthusiastic about learning. But now they started to push back. And as a new homeschooler, that was heartbreaking for Layla. Within a month, Layla was really struggling. You know, she had a toddler as well. She had to manage 2 kids, homeschooling them, and they didn't want to do it anymore. They weren't enjoying it. And she wasn't enjoying it anymore either. By the end of, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks, she was looking for schools and they were in the local state school that would take them. She had to give up on her dream of homeschooling. The problem was, mashallah, Afia Hussein 90. Now, Afia Hussein is saying over planning, trying to recreate school at home. That's a really good point. It's really, really good point. And it's what I want to talk about here. The mistake that she made is that she went from that point of previously she had been doing at the most half an hour to 45 minutes every day with her kids. She might do some craft activities. She might do a little bit of Quran. She'd gone from that to a full-blown timetable, 9 to 4, all mapped out. There was nothing in between. There was no space for her or for her children to adjust. It's no wonder that the kids were resisting. Homeschooling is not something that you can just switch on. It's a lifestyle. And lifestyles take time. They take time to adjust. And there's something that you craft around your family. It's not an on-off thing. So a way of me explaining this to you is, for example, another kind of lifestyle is to be very active and very, a very active family. If one day you usually spend your afternoons on the sofa watching football, you wouldn't then the next day say, okay, we're going to start being an active family now, plan rock climbing, swimming, hiking, I don't know, archery, all of these things. If you tried to make that shift suddenly, instantly, of course it would fall through. And homeschooling is much the same thing. It is a lifestyle. It changes the way you live. It changes the family dynamic. And so I implore you, from the bottom of my heart, I ask you not to rush into it, to take this slowly. And I'm going to walk you through how you can take it slowly. Don't go from 0 or very little homeschooling to a full-blown timetable in one day. You know, I have helped hundreds of Muslim families to start homeschooling. I know the struggles they've had. I know where they've made mistakes. And this is a big one for a lot of people. Take it slow. Let's see what people are saying in the comments. MashaAllah, there's salam from Indonesia. Walaikum salam. Okay, so if you're not, on day one, you're not doing a full timetable, what are you doing? What am I suggesting as an option to that? Because of course, that's what you expect in school. In school, you would imagine that they would have a full timetable mapped out. What do you do then if you're not doing that? What you want to do is, let's look at this from this perspective. The biggest mistake that I see parents making is they begin with subjects that their children are struggling with. And it's understandable. You might take your children out of school because they are struggling. The school is not meeting their needs in maths, or they're falling behind in reading, or whatever it might be. And so an obvious reaction to that is, straight away, we've got to do that subject. We've got to catch up. There's that mentality, right? And that makes sense. I understand that. But what's the problem here? Put yourself in your child's shoes. You take them out of school, or perhaps they were never in school, but you know that they struggle with a certain topic. And that's the first thing that they are required to do. They're going to push back. They're not going to want to do that subject. They're not going to enjoy the homeschooling experience. And that, as a new homeschooling parent, is going to break your heart. It's going to knock your confidence straight away. And a new homeschooler has a very fragile confidence in themselves. We're all the same. We all doubt ourselves, but at the beginning, we really do struggle with our confidence. And so what you want to do for your child is not give them the thing they're struggling with straight away. That can come later. You want to start with the subjects that they love. Because what's going to happen when you put something that they love in front of them? They're going to light up, they're going to be excited and happy. And nothing makes a parent happier than seeing their child happy, especially if it's to do with learning. So that is where you begin. Day one, you start with what your child loves. Even better if you can do something that you love as well, and your child will pick up on that enthusiasm that you have. And as you're doing that, I would encourage you for the first week at least to just do topics that your children enjoy. What's going to happen during that time is you're going to build your confidence. Your child's going to have a positive experience with homeschooling, and you're going to slowly start to understand how your child works, how your child learns. This is your opportunity to observe your child really at close quarters in a way that perhaps you've never done before. I want you to be like David Attenborough in the wild, observing, okay? This is the time where you can see, okay, how does he learn? Does he prefer auditory learning or visual learning? Does he really love creativity? Does he struggle with certain things? And you can identify during this period, what does he struggle with? Does he struggle with expressing himself? Does he struggle with thinking mathematically, or whatever it might be? But this is your chance, when your child is exploring their own passions and interests, to really observe them closely. And you will probably have not had, especially if they've been in school, you will have not had this opportunity before. When you see what lights them up. So let me give you an example. Let's say your daughter loves science. So day one, you start with science. You get out whatever science book you have, you read through something together. She's excited, she makes notes, she draws a picture. Maybe you watch a documentary, then you take her the next day to the museum. Maybe you go to the library and pick up some more books. And suddenly you go down that rabbit hole of discovery and learning. She wants to know more scientific things. And that slowly brings in geography, and maybe it even brings in some literature. And you go down that rabbit hole with her for as long as you can, observing her and being David Attenborough. And then while you're doing that, it's not just about her being happy and all of that. This is a really important time for you to start educating yourself. To start reading about home education and the different methods, Montessori, Waldorf, Charlotte Mason, unschooling, to learn about, the national curriculum as well and what they're doing in schools. This is your time to really get yourself clued up, because something I know from my coaching clients and from the students in my course is that the better informed they are, the more widely they read, the more podcasts they listen to, the more information that they've been able to take on and understand, the more confidence that they have. When they're going into this blindly, when they're stumbling along trying to work it out for themselves, that's often when they fall down and they have a bad day, they start to blame themselves, it knocks their confidence, and before you know it, they've given up, or at the very least they're in a really bad shape. So get informed, take this opportunity to learn more. So there's books and there's podcasts. So I have a list here for you. I know someone's going to ask me. So podcasts, of course, there's the Raising Mums podcast. If you like to listen to podcasts, you know what? I really love podcasts because you can listen to them and you can learn while you're doing other things, while you're hoovering, while you're cooking, while you're in the car. I really enjoy podcasts. So there's, of course, my podcast, which is, I think, the best Muslim homeschooling podcast out there. But I haven't listened to them all, but by all means, look around. There's also, if you're interested in Charlotte Mason, that's Philosophy of Education, I would recommend the Modern Miss Mason podcast. If you want to dive deeper into Charlotte Mason and the sort of nitty-gritty of how to do things, A Delectable Education is great. And there's a newer podcast called Thinking Love, which, if you don't mind a bit of Christian rhetoric thrown in, then I do think Thinking Love is lovely as well. And for more general homeschooling, I like Judy Bogart's podcast, which is called Brave Writer. It's not just about writing, but that is also a really nice podcast to listen to. A lot of valuable information can be taken from all of those. If you have a favourite podcast for homeschooling, please pop it in the comments so that we can all benefit from that. Books, okay. There are so many books about homeschooling. So I have actually a blog post that I've put together, which is called Books to Read When You're Considering Homeschooling. So Instagram, you'll want to Google that because I don't think that's in my profile. But Facebook, I have put that in the show notes. If you're listening on the podcast, it's in the show notes below. So that's called Books to Read When You're Considering Homeschooling. That's a whole book list of books that I love and that I recommend to other people. Charlotte Mason Homeschoolers, the place to start is, I've got them handy today, For the Children's Sake by Susan Schaefer Macaulay, and When Children Love to Learn, which is edited by Elaine Cooper. Both of these books we are reading together inside of my homeschooling course, Launch Your Homeschool. We have a book club where, as mums, we read these books together, we discuss them and the ideas that are within them. So if you are going to be joining us for that, we will be reading these together. If you join on the 5th of July, you'll be able to join in our book club call about both of these, inshallah. Okay, and of course, if you are at this point, you need to start, excuse me, I've got things popping up. At this point is when you need to start planning, okay? You need to start planning your homeschool. So you've observed your children, you know how they learn, you know what lights them up, you know where they're struggling and the areas you need to work on. You've really got to know their learning style and also what lights you up. You've done your research, you know that you want to go down the Charlotte Mason way, or you want to do the Montessori thing and give that a go. You need to know that ahead of time before you start planning, because there are certain things that don't align with those ways of doing things. For example, you might have decided that you want to do spelling with your 6-year-old, so you buy a spelling book. Then as you learn more about the Charlotte Mason philosophy, you realise, oh, we don't need to do spelling yet, so you scrap that off the plan. So it's always better to do the research, as much research as you can ahead of time. Then you plan. So if you are joining Launch Your Homeschool, I'll take you step by step through that planning process to a point where you have a well-rounded curriculum in place for your children. If you're not joining me, then go onto YouTube and look at all the videos that are out there. I have a few myself on my YouTube channel, Our Muslim Homeschool. There are many out there. I think JDA probably has some homeschool planning ones. If you're looking for more specific Charlotte Mason ones, then just Google Charlotte Mason homeschool planning. Have a look on YouTube and see what's out there, because mashallah, the homeschooling community are so supportive. They're always sharing their insights, trying to help one another. But if you do want that step-by-step system that's just laid out for you, then do consider joining me on the 5th of July inside my course. You need to know the law. It's boring, but it needs to be done. It needs to be said that certain parts of the world, You know, there are very strict restrictions on homeschooling in the US. Some states are more lax than others. So you need to know what your state, what your country requires of you before you start planning, before you start buying anything. That's really important. I have a free ebook called Homeschooling, What You Need to Know to Get Started. That's completely free. Just head over to my website and you can get a copy there. And that will help you with some of those questions about legal requirements and the things that you need to get in place legally before you start. Things like how to take your child out of school and those kind of questions. The link for that is in the show notes. So, in summary, what do you do to start homeschooling? You follow their joy. I'm sorry that sounds cheesy, but I'm in a cheesy mood today. You follow their joy. You do what makes them happy. You start with what they love. And then you bring things in later on that they need help with. That is the best way to begin. It's the best for everybody involved. You do your research, you watch and observe your children really closely, you learn more about the educational philosophies and ways of doing things, and you choose something that lights you up and that will work for your child. Don't just pick something that will work for your child, but that you think sounds boring. That's not going to last long term. You want something that's going to work for you both, and there are many different ways of doing things. There will be something out there that works for your family. Don't go straight into a full timetable from day one. Bad idea. It will only end in disaster. And, you know, I just want to end by saying that you can do this. You know, I know that you are trying to do something that's very different from anyone else in your social circle. You have big aims and big goals for your children. And you're doing it for incredible reasons. And I want you to take heart in that, you know, you can do this. If I can do this, if the thousands of other people who are doing this can do this, so can you. You know, there are people like myself, you know, I'm here to support you. There are many, many other Muslim homeschoolers out there who will answer your questions and help you as best they can. We are a community and we want to see you succeed, because what you're doing is not just for you. It's for your children. It's for the ummah, you know, and that's what it comes down to. And so what you're doing is an amazing thing. You know, don't give up. Don't give up. You know, you can do this, inshallah. Okay, so if you've got any questions, I can take a couple of questions now. I'm happy to do that. If I can answer them, I will. Pop them in the comments, please, and I will do what I can to answer them. Instagram, please put it in the question in a speech bubble thing at the bottom. That would be perfect. So I'm going to be back, inshallah, on Wednesday, 3 p.m. I'm going to be on Facebook talking about time. About this question of, do you have time to homeschool? Do you really have the time to homeschool? I'm going to be addressing that on Wednesday, 3 p.m. on Facebook. So I hope that you'll join me for that live broadcast. I'm just going to scroll through Instagram. If there's any questions, pop them in. Oh, that's great. So Homemade Teacher has said, I found Simply Charlotte Mason to be a really useful podcast, also on YouTube. Yeah, I would agree with that. I really like the way she teaches. She really simplifies things down. Yeah, she's a really valuable resource. I would agree with that. Yes, this will be recorded. Do I believe anyone can homeschool? I don't think anyone can homeschool. No, I think that there has to be a desire in yourself to homeschool. I've seen many people sort of coerced into it by their husbands who didn't really want to homeschool. That didn't work. I think sometimes, you know, situations in around us, you know, financial situations or whatever, health issues mean that people can't homeschool. I do think that being able to homeschool is a privilege. Not everyone can do it. But I also think that a lot more people could do it than do. And I think a lot more people would do it if they realised really what it meant. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what homeschooling is and what it entails. And if people really understood what it was and what it wasn't, then more would do it. I just think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about what it involves. which is a shame, isn't it? Yes, this will be recorded. I think we've got one question that's popped up. Oh, same question. Yeah. Okay. So I think we've got to all of them. Fatima, I'm not sure I understand your question. Perhaps you can message me later. I'm not sure I understand what that means. Okay. Yes, please do join later, Ashna. It will be recorded, inshallah, so you'll be able to watch the whole thing from the beginning. Okay. Is your course applicable in the US? Yes, it is applicable. Whatever country you live in, I'm not teaching something specific to a certain country or a certain curriculum. The course is about giving you the tools to create a curriculum for your own children, about giving you a strong foundation in your homeschool so that will launch your own homeschool in a way to sustain you for the future. I'm not giving you a pre-packaged curriculum. This is about crafting a curriculum for your specific children and giving you a strong foundation. Okay, wa alaikum salam. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been really fun. I really appreciate you all joining me live. So I'll be back again, live again, Facebook on Wednesday and Facebook and Instagram on Sunday at 4 p.m. Next week, inshallah. Don't forget to pop your name down on the waiting list for Launch Your Homeschool, and that's launchyourhomeschool.com, and you can put your name on the waiting list there. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a great Sunday. Assalamu alaikum.